Hello, friends. My name is Dustin Jones, co-lead faculty with the Institute of Clinical Excellence for the Division of Older Adults. This is Wednesday, so it's Jerry on Ice. We talk about all things older adults, how we can help you better serve them in your line of work. Today is no different. Today's going to be more kind of big picture thinking and 30,000 foot view, and just wanted to share some thoughts that I've really been thinking about over the past couple weeks. Is how can we influence aging, but in particular influence the perception of aging, whether it's the public's perception, whether it's my patient's perception of aging, whether it's your perception of aging, the clinicians that watch this. And there's several things that we can try and do to influence this, but there's one thing that I feel is probably the most powerful force to be reckoned with in this fight against ageism and how we think of how we can age and what we can achieve. And that force, I believe now, is CrossFit, the C word. Now, I know many of you all may not do CrossFit. You may be big critics of CrossFit. A lot of you all, though, are you're fans of the Fitness Athlete Fridays. Mitch, Alan, Zach, they're doing great work. I love the work that they do, but a lot of us are still kind of skeptical of CrossFit, and I'm right there with you. I'm not a member of a CrossFit affiliate. I've never stepped foot in a box to do a workout. I have worked with a CrossFit Level 1 coach, but we were working in a hardstyle kettlebell gym, doing high-intensity functional training and doing a lot of things that CrossFit does, but not necessarily, titled CrossFit. So, my experience with them is very limited. It's basically the online exposure and the exposure of my friends and peer groups, like many of you all. And I've kind of been a critic from far away, but now I'm really starting to think differently about this organization, thanks to some things that I recently heard and read, but also thanks to Mitch and Alan and Zach and Ryan Smith and just several people that we interact with. So just hear me out with this, okay? So what has me, excited about CrossFit and how it is kind of shifting is based on a podcast that my wife recently shared with me. The Pursuing Health podcast. This is episode 80. I think back in March 2018 it was released, and Julie, the host, she was a family medicine resident, I believe. The fact that she's doing a podcast in medical residency just blows my mind. But she was interviewing Greg Glassman, so the owner of CrossFit, that people call him Coach. He talked about several things, but there are a few things that really opened my eyes to the direction that CrossFit is going. The first thing that he talked about was the shift from really highlighting and being so focused on kind of the upper end, hardcore high performers, the Rich Fronings, the Mitch Babcocks, if you will, the people that we may perceive as just otherworldly, the Greek gods and goddesses that are just on a whole nother level of fitness and aesthetics and function that we can never achieve, people that I cannot necessarily relate to. He's willing to shift away from that and more towards health, or more towards the transformational stories that are more frequently happening inside the boxes. The people that join these gyms that drop literally hundreds of pounds, reverse chronic disease, that literally it changes their lives. Or in particular, the thing that gets me really excited is the stories about the older adults that really change their trajectory, where they're able to, get off of a walker and begin to deadlift and squat and do loaded carries and a lot of things that we talk about to really influence the quality of their life. Greg Glassman, the owner of CrossFit, said he wants to highlight those transformational stories for the young and the old. And when I heard him say that really blew my mind, because the outsider perspective, CrossFit is all about the CrossFit Games. It's all about, the open and the competition and, pushing yourself till you're puking and Rich Froning is, pretty much a god in that circle. But that may not necessarily be the case, or the owner wants to kind of shift the focus of it. And if he is talking about this, it's likely going to happen. He even said that the least important thing in CrossFit is the CrossFit Games, which I found that very, very interesting for him to say. Now, granted, if it's true or not, I don't know, but the fact that he really downplayed the importance of the games and how he wants to really shift that focus just had me really excited. And but there's a couple reasons to really back up his words, that I really feel very optimistic about what CrossFit can achieve and some of the same goals that I'm trying to achieve with this podcast or with Senior Rehab Project or my day-to-day work. And that's how can we really change the face of Jerry PT, or change the face of what an older adult may look like, or what they're able to achieve. So there's two big things that I want to talk about with CrossFit. First is just the size of the organization. I know Mitch talks about this, and he does some cool slides showing CrossFit affiliates in reference to McDonald's locations in different cities. It's just eye-opening. I'm going to read to you, this was from morningchalkup.com, the end of October this year. Not only is CrossFit the largest fitness chain in the world, comparatively speaking, it's also one of the largest and fastest growing corporate chains. So number one is Subway at 42,998 franchises or locations across the world. McDonald's comes in at number 2. Starbucks is 3. KFC is 4. Burger King is at 5 with 16,859. Pizza Hut is 6 at 16,796. And CrossFit is number 7 at 15,500 affiliates. And number 8 is Domino's Pizza, which Domino's is pretty terrible in my opinion. 15,000 franchises. Now, CrossFit's competitor, Planet Fitness, is at 1,124 locations. Now, when we talk about global corporations, CrossFit is coming in at number 7 in terms of corporate chains. Let that sink in. 15,500 affiliates across the world. The majority of those are in the United States of America. Think about each location, and then each person in that community, and then who those people know and who they influence. That is a massive, massive group of people that are advocating for a lifestyle, and oftentimes they advocate it with their words, obviously, because CrossFitters, all they talk about is CrossFit, right? There's a really funny college humor video about that, but their actions speak loudly. And I think a great example of that is Alan. Alan, who you all hear on Thursdays, is COO of the Institute of Clinical Excellence. He's always posting about CrossFit. But man, if you've seen the transformation that guy has experienced, and that will speak louder than any word that he could ever say. So all that to say, CrossFit is so massive. There's tons of people doing it, advocating for that intervention, that lifestyle. And that has a lot of influence on our culture and how people perceive aging and how we may perceive what older adults are capable of. Secondly, is the CrossFit Health certification. Mitch talked about this 2 months ago. That has continued to grow steam or grow momentum, and is really becoming something that is going to be a force to help shift the focus of CrossFit more towards that everyday person to really influence health and not just think about the hardcore high performers. Now, the CrossFit Health, just to reiterate, if you missed that episode, that is it's like a level 1 certification, but it's geared towards physicians. So if you think about what a physician is in this society, at least I can say this in America, they are very, very influential in their communities. What I say as a physical therapist typically does not pale, or typically pales in comparison to what a physician is going to say. That we could say the same thing. The person may not act on my recommendation, but my gosh, if a doctor says it, they're likely going to act. A physician has a lot of weight, and it definitely has a lot of weight in the older adult population, probably more so than my generation, for example. Now, as this group of CrossFit physicians continues to grow, as CrossFit really influences the kind of the healthcare providers, and healthcare providers are advocating for high intensity functional training, advocating for a certain type of way to eat, that's going to influence a lot of people, a lot of our patients. And as you combine the size of CrossFit, its influence in basically influencing the influencers of the healthcare system in our society, and then you add on top of that their ability to market so well. They have a national platform, national coverage for their CrossFit Games, where Greg Glassman said, they have ad space, and they intend to use that ad space to show the everyday person transforming their lives, or the older adult being able to do things that they never thought they would be able to do. You combine all those things with the direction that Greg Glassman laid out in this podcast, and that is a force to be reckoned with in achieving a goal that is near and dear to my heart, and is how can we influence aging and the perception of aging. And so it has me really excited. It has me signed up to join a CrossFit box. I never thought I would say that, but my wife and I are going to be going to the local box here in Lexington, Kentucky, to give it a shot and just to start to at least try this community out and just see, where it's going, and hopefully lock shields with them and move forward and get in the game and really leverage, their platforms and their massive influence to help spread that message that older adults are more capable of things that they could ever imagine. So that has me really excited. I just wanted to share that stuff. I'll put some links in the Facebook post for you to check out if that interests you. For you all that may have more information on this topic, feel free to leave a comment on this post. I would love to learn more. I'm still constantly learning about this and how, what partnerships or what can I be a part of to better, influence my community and the people around me, and hope, even my profession. So I would love to hear your all's perspective on that as well. And lastly, something I'm also very excited about is our course. Christina Previtt and I are headed to St. Louis December 8th and 9th that weekend to teach modern management of the older adult at House Fit. We're very excited to bring this 2-day live course to that region, and hopefully you can come. We'd love for you to join. We're going to talk about how to progress or regress some of these functional movements that are used in CrossFit. How can we implement some of this high-intensity training in a safe manner for patients that we typically have traditionally thought that that's probably the worst thing that you can do. How can we encourage and coach our older adult patients to be able to achieve things that they never thought that they could achieve. And so this is going to be a great hands-on, very applicable weekend that Christy and I are super excited about. And I know Beth is really excited to have us out there in St. Louis. So if you're interested in that, we'd love for you to join. PTOnIce.com is where you can find that information. And I will talk to y'all in a couple weeks. Take care.